Have you ever, like, really thought what it would be like to be charged by an apex predator?
Yeah.
I watched this video the other day of this dude, and he was just standing on the trail, and all of a sudden this giant-ass brown bear just full charges him. And apparently they do this thing called bluff charging. It's basically, like, a bear's way to be like, back off, bitch. And it'll just, like, full sprint at you, like it's gonna fuck your shit up, and then bail out at the last second.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and this bear did it to this guy, like, 3 times,
Oh, my
right?
God.
He's like, I didn't want to shoot it. I figured it was just a bluff. I'm like, I would kill the fuck out of that bear.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, hopefully it stops it. Like, fuck.
I know at that point, I don't think it's going to.
Oh, no. This is turning into a Joe Rogan podcast really quick.
Avatar, The Last Airbender, the animated show. Let's just give it a quick second to talk about, because obviously it's like the source material here.
Yeah, it's hard because there is source material here that people love so much, myself included. Like,
100%.
This show is very important to a lot of people.
Hell yeah. Honestly, it might have been one of the first shows I was, like, obsessively binging. The first
binge.
This might be my first binge.
Avatar, the first binge.
And the last binge, honestly.
Yeah, for sure.
I have binged the whole series multiple times this month. So
in preparation for Avatar: The Last Airbender release on Netflix.
Yeah, so early on, bro, like the creators of this show were kind of like piecing out for creative differences. So like creative differences, those are some red flags.
Yeah, well, and what's interesting too, now that kind of, because we're on topic, is that they are still working with Netflix under Avatar Studios, and they're making an animated movie following Aang and the gang.
Okay, so that's the original dudes?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
They're running Avatar Studios, and there's apparently more spin-offs and stuff planned.
Okay, interesting. Like, I'm down for it, but also, like, the further this tale unravels, I don't want to like water it down.
Well,
you know?
I wonder if the original creators left because they sort of saw what was happening with their show, because this came out recently and it has been kind of getting torn apart by everybody.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like it did some things really well, but I think that the things that fans wanted to feel in watching this show, it really didn't hit the mark in that aspect.
No.
But that's not like a total, like, throw it in the trash can.
I agree. I would have a hard time coming on here and just like completely shitting on it, because there's parts of it that I, as an Avatar fan, that I loved watching.
Yes, of course. They give us the secret tunnel payoff. They give us the my cabbages. There's maybe just something where like the essence of each character doesn't quite get there for me.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I wonder if that's because it is live action, like, or if it's because of how it was written.
Well, I totally hear what you're saying, but then I look at Ahsoka, where we've taken essentially Rebels and turned that into live action, and it was so fucking good.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, it's possible. It's possible to take a cartoon and turn it into live action and to still capture the same essence of that story.
Right.
And that's my question for you right now, is, like, did you feel like it still captured the essence of Avatar for you?
Essence, yes, but that's like, we
can't boil this down to a yes or no.
Yeah, I know. It's so funny. Like, what they did is they basically took several episodes from the first season and compiled them into 1 hour long episodes and rewrote it so they all sort of work together.
Right.
And in doing so, you speed up so much of the characters' growths and their relationships with each other. In the animated series, the original, you feel like Aang and everyone are are spending every day together and traveling together and going to see places, whereas the adventure part of the live action show just happens so fast that you kind of like you could I don't know how to explain it.
For me, it was looking at each episode of the animated show, and we kind of, with the gang, essentially learn like a coming of age. Like each episode has like a little moment of growth for not every character every episode, but over the course of a season or a book, right? We see each character have significant growth because of individual stories told in each episode. In combining all of those stories into just like one big arc, like they did in the live action, we lose all of those opportunities for us to see the growth that each character has. Yeah. And essentially what we're left with is like a postcard of Avatar, like a season's greetings, you know, like wish you were here.
Yeah, totally. That's a great way to put that.
Let's get into maybe the individual characters here.
Yeah, I agree.
Can we start with the bad guys?
You want to start with bad guys? You want to start with the big bads?
The big baddies.
Because in each of these characters, there is like some good and some bad. Like all of it is just, it's so interesting how like after you saying that, because that goes with everything, the storytelling, the characters, like it's all just like almost there.
Almost, right?
Yeah, but having every element be almost there means you're not there at all.
If you ain't first, you're last.
Yeah. But yeah, let's start with the bad guys.
The bad guys.
The bad guys.
Yeah, because I think that as far as the cast that they've thrown together here, the bad guys all have the most experience acting.
Oh, really? Interesting, because that shows.
Yes.
The Fire Nation was definitely the most interesting to watch throughout the...
Daniel Day Kim, he plays Fire Lord
Ozai. Yeah.
Or the... What have they been calling him? They've been calling him the Zaddy Daddy.
No way that's a thing.
They've been calling him the Baddie Daddy.
What I love about his character and many others, then this part I think they did nail, is getting the costume design and like the character design to look like their animated counterparts. Yeah,
that they did nail that. It was really well done because before they said or did anything, I could see and know exactly who that character was.
For sure.
And, like that was rewarding.
Yeah, Ozai looked very cool.
Yeah, super cool.
And Daniel Day Kim does a great job playing him, I think, as well.
I totally agree. Now, Daniel Day Kim comes from like a long history of TV. He directed a couple episodes in the recent years of like The Good Doctor. He did something else too. Like very TV sort of guy here. And I would expect him to come in and just kind of like nail a role like this.
No, I agree. And I also think that General Zhao was played very well. And there was elements of character that I didn't love, but I feel like they kind of captured that lust for power that he had in the animated show.
Yeah, his performance was definitely one of the weaker ones for me. It like kind of leaned in like almost a little too cartoony.
It was very cartoony, yeah.
And like, compared to everybody else where their characterization had like pulled back on the cartooniness.
Yeah. How Zhao meets his demise was also kind of underwhelming for me.
I know, it was so epic in the cartoon.
In the cartoon, yeah.
So epic. But that's okay, you know, the payoffs were there in other aspects. Yeah. I think as far as the Fire Nation goes, Prince Zuko and Uncle Iroh, I think, were two of the strongest performances we got.
I totally agree. Zuko was very fun to watch, and comparing him to his cartoon counterpart, I feel like he was pretty close. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but I think he has his own sort of take on it, and he captured the sort of like anger while also it was a little ham-fisted, but like how Zuko has his like lighter side as well, and how he's like he is sort of good, but he's just angry. He's an angry boy.
I know, we like still got that heartfelt part with Aang and him after he saves Aang and then Aang saves him. They have that moment, right? You're like, okay, like I can see how this will work later. And the actor playing Prince Zuko, Dallas Liu, out of all of the younger kids, he's got the most acting experience, but it's still not a lot. I think he performed really well though. His voice at times was like spot on.
Oh yeah, his voice for sure. I noticed that many times.
Yeah, dude. Which is important because one of my favorite facts about the animated show is that Prince Zuko is voiced by Dante Brasco, whose name you might recognize as the actor who played Rufio in Hook.
Oh, I do recognize that name.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, so I love Hook. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. So
Cool.
yeah, it was important that they got that right for me.
Nice. I'm glad they checked that box. I feel like Iroh was played well, but I feel like the writing didn't give him his character enough time to like completely shine like he does in the show.
I was trying to remember it. I believe, is it book 2 when we learn about his son?
Yes.
Because that, for me, in the animated show was when we really start to open up on Uncle Iroh and start to understand like
Absolutely.
more about him.
Yeah, well, and they gave him that backstory in the live action show, but they didn't really spend the necessary time on it for us to really understand Uncle Iroh.
Like, while his performance was really good, and I see Uncle Iroh when I look at him, I think he got robbed in the script.
Yeah, I totally agree. The Fire Nation was definitely the strongest of the first season of the live action Avatar show for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree. How did you feel about the fire effects?
I thought all of the effects were kind of dope. I mean, like a lot of it was very obviously CGI, but like the Avatar fan in me didn't really care because like it was just bending on screen. So it was so sick.
I thought that the fire effect was probably one of the coolest. I definitely liked it more than the water bending.
The water,
yeah. The airbending was probably my favorite though.
Let's talk about Katara.
Okay, Katara.
Let's move on to our heroes because that, I think, is where the biggest problems lie.
The decision to change up, like, Katara and Sokka to get rid of the feminism, sexism thing.
Yeah.
Kind of, like, really changes the characters.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
I don't know. There's, like, part of me that doesn't, like, care. Like, or you know what I mean? Like I don't care if that's in it or not, but it's
I think
pivotal.
It's a fundamental part of their characters in the show,
like,
or in the animated show.
Not.
Yeah,
usually it's just somebody being a douchebag.
Totally.
Like, but in this case, it's like we see their character growth through these moments.
I just watched the animated episode today when Sokka learns from the Kyoshi warriors. Because he's going in there judging them for being women, and that's his cornerstone of that episode. And he
gets his ass kicked.
Yeah, and he comes back and he's like bowing his head in shame, and he's like, I'm sorry I did that. Like, can I please learn from you? And it's like, it's important character growth that we are not getting from this live action version. And you're right, because Sokka and Katara's relationship does sort of pivot on that many times throughout the entirety of the animated show.
I mean, even in episode 1 of both the animated and live action shows, Aang is in that frozen ball, and in the animated show, he's awoken by Katara because Sokka's making sexist remarks about her not being able to waterbend, and she gets angry, loses control of her waterbending, and he awakens the Avatar. In the live action show, though, none of that happens.
Yeah. I feel like many of the decisions that were made regarding the writing and the characters of the live action show just come off like there's not enough weight to them. And I feel like in the animated show, there was so much weight to everything that was going on.
Yeah. No, I think as far as like how they did squish up some of those episodes and like kind of weave those storylines together, what they did do was creative. And interesting, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, I left some episodes feeling pretty satisfied with what I watched, just like on a a viewer level, like not as an Avatar fan, but I was like, that was pretty good. Like, and it was when the episodes were most different from the cartoon episodes, because they kind of took some liberties and rewrote some things, and I like seeing different twists on characters that I love. Like, I've always liked that. But they're sort of trying to balance the two, and it is sort of coming off as a little more jarring, and like they don't know whether to shit or wind their watch, it seems like.
Oh my god. No, I totally agree, though. In the middle there, it got real mushy where we had Jet and the mechanic, like, all kind of, like, working all in one big
That's
conglomeration
right. Yeah.
of an episode or a couple episodes, over the course of a couple episodes, right? But then we would have these moments where it was almost a shot-for-shot retelling from the animated show. What's the face demon?
Oh,
Ko.
Ko. I did not like that change that they made in the live action show at all. Yeah, Ko in the animated series, he like steals your face if you show any emotion, and I did not like that they took that out.
Yeah.
But Ko as a character was super cool to like visually was pretty much exactly like.
Wait, hold up now. He wasn't stealing faces in the live action?
I think he did steal faces, but it wasn't like if he showed emotion. Like they didn't go through that whole.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how he decides to steal faces.
It was like kind
or
of
not.
Unclear, right?
In the live action, the visual, like character design of it, and the visuals of that episode is incredible. Like that is
so cool.
That is one of the better like highlights of the series, I think.
Even like Gordon Cormier's acting in that episode as Aang was like the best. And I feel like one of the better portrayals he gave of Aang.
I do agree for sure.
Even though like I do wish that it was like that, the tension of that, keeping that straight face.
Yeah, that added so much tension in the animated show.
Well, and animated Aang is, well, very animated. Like,
Yeah.
he's always got expression, and he's very, like, mobile. And so for him to be still and stoic in that moment is, like, a stark contrast. And it was part of the impact of the animated episode. So, yeah, it does have its differences, actually. In my mind, I was thinking of, like, the way that Ko is like flashing the different faces at Aang.
Oh,
like,
yeah, that was incredible.
Like, that was all straight out of the animated show. But then, yeah, like, it's mixed in with these subtle changes.
Yeah.
But these subtle changes impact the overall essence.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and okay, let's talk about Aang then.
Okay.
Because obviously we have our central point of the entire. I mean, he is the last Airbender.
He's the last Airbender. And where the fuck has he been? It's like I've been 100 years.
I feel like in the animated show, Aang just has this sort of somberness to him while also being childlike and playful and whimsical, and he's also very innocent.
Yeah.
Whereas in the Netflix show, I feel like he's just a kid.
Yes, totally.
You know what I mean? Like,
Really, what?
I don't really quite know any better way to put it than that.
In the animated show, you're always kind of like aware of the fact that Aang is 100 years old, but he's a young boy. And you're like constantly aware of both of these facts about him because of the way that he acts.
The way that he carries himself.
The way that he carries himself and the way that he responds to situations. He takes this role of the Avatar very seriously, but he's childlike in nature. And it's such a interesting like duality in a character. And I think part of why as children we watched this show and loved it so much because we connected with that childlike nature of Aang, but also like a lot of us were dealing with more sophisticated real life problems that we saw Aang deal with bravery and grace, and you know, that resonated for us as well in a way. So to not have that part of him captured in this live action makes me really upset.
I completely agree. There was so much like just pure essence of Aang's character that is just gone in the live action episode or series, the live action series. And I don't know, like obviously it's a child actor. I don't want to like blame it on that because I don't think that's what it is. I just think he wasn't given enough time to develop, and I don't think that it was taken very seriously for those parts of Aang to be developed.
Right, and I kind of wonder, like, these creative differences that ended up dividing them early on in this conquest, is that maybe where things were getting lost? Like, the essence of these characters didn't break through in this series. outside of maybe like we expressed for those few Fire Nation characters. So I feel like that's really where we need to see improvement, especially if Netflix is going to carry this all the way out to book 3.
Is it confirmed that have they renewed for another season already, or is it going? What's up, guys? This is Mike, and after we filmed this, Netflix did indeed confirm 2 more seasons from Avatar: The Last Airbender, Netflix original series. Now back to the episode. I can't deny that there's goodness there.
There's something worth watching.
Agreed.
Yeah, 100%. I think there's something worth watching, and it does deserve a second chance. I don't even want to call it that. It deserves a second season.
Yes.
Because of that.
Yeah.
But
as a Avatar fan, I see the very clear issues.
Yeah.
But as an Avatar fan, it's like just cool to watch. It's not. Yeah. How many hours have you put into Avatar: The Last Airbender, like the animated show? You know, it's only 8 hours of your life.
Exactly.
Compared to the animated show.
And it's better than that movie they tried to make. Ding dong.
I don't think I've ever seen that all the way through.
Neither have I.
Really?
I don't think anybody did. I don't even think Shyamalama did.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
How do you feel about King Boomy?
Oh. The makeup was weird.
You want to know what I felt? What I felt is that
I'm scared.
I was just watching like an hour-long impression of Jim Carrey's The Grinch. Do you see that at all?
Yeah, I kind of do.
It was like with the voice and how like...
And like the makeup really made him look weird.
Yeah, dude. And he had this like, I don't know, just like the constant like that face, you know what I mean?
Kind of wacky.
Yeah.
But I mean, the character was wacky in the cartoon too.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. I feel like it's sort of like how you were saying with Zhao, like they tried to make him so cartoony that it just kind of clashed, which like, but I feel like...
Well, isn't he part of the White Lotus guys too?
Yes.
And you're like, come on. No, I don't buy that.
Yeah, well, that. And they did make some fundamental changes to his character too, because he was about to kill Aang, or like,
yeah, that's true too. Because oh man, in the cartoon, he was like a pivotal moment in Aang understanding him being the Avatar.
Yes.
Like, he was a really important, like, moment in Aang remembering who he was.
Yeah.
Totally gone.
It's completely gone.
Well, I mean, that happened in the live action, too. That was still, like, important for Boomy's character in the live action.
It was. I do feel like, talking about Aang, though, Boomy being his friend and a companion in, like, that sense is so important in the animated show.
Yeah.
And you don't leave feeling that same, like, warmth towards Boomy in the live action show.
Totally agreed. Yeah. It's almost like in the animated show, Boomy's like kind of in on what's happening the whole time. He's like almost putting on a facade at the beginning.
Yeah.
And as Aang comes to realize who he is and the importance of being together in that moment, he kind of drops that and is like more coherent, like a more serious character.
Completely, yeah. And I don't know. I know I said that I don't mind when people take different like takes of characters, but I just feel like that didn't really fit very well in this interpretation.
Well, you're onto something. Like, you can take different interpretations of characters, but there's like certain parts of a character that need to stay the same.
Yeah.
It's like Batman in all of his different animated versions. You know, sometimes he's a samurai, sometimes he's a night detective, you know, but he's always Batman. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that just like that, it could have been the same here, but it wasn't.
We didn't get Night Detective Boomy.
No, we didn't even get Samurai Boomy, really.
Part of me also respects the decision that they made with his character. Like, I respect the decision and I can appreciate it, but I don't like it from a creative standpoint.
Well, they had to trim the fat somewhere.
Yeah.
They trimmed the Boomy fat.
Yeah.
I just keep imagining, like, in the animated show, there's like this shot of Uncle Iroh when we finally realize about the White Lotus Society, and they do like that lineup of all of them together.
Oh,
like Boo's
yeah.
in that lineup, and he looks so good and like stoic, and like I just can't imagine this dude in that shot.
No, not at all.
We'll see.
We'll see what happens.
See. I'm still willing to watch for it.
I will definitely. If they release another season, I'll watch it. It comes down to it.
Same.
Yeah.
That's
our quote for this episode. If they release another season, I'll watch it. ...
Same. I am, however, more excited for what they're doing with the animated lineage of this.
I want to see something that the original creators have their hands on. And I want to see their vision.
I know. The 12-year-old girl in me wants to see Aang and Katara happily in love.
Oh, are they going to do that in the live action show? Because
it doesn't seem like it.
I feel like there was a little hint at it in the like ice celebration.
Yeah, a little bit.
But if like I feel like there was a little hint at it, and I was like, that would be weird.
But that was like another change too, those because they're supposed to. There was like a moment where they're supposed to like make their way out of the tunnels because of their love, and it ended up being Sokka.
Her and Sokka,
Katara.
which I actually appreciated that. I didn't mind.
Okay,
yeah.
You know, it still worked.
Yeah, for
At
sure.
least that change worked.
Yeah,
you know,
that's a good point.
But yeah, it doesn't seem like Aang and Katara's love
seem like it's happening.
Is
yeah.
happening.
Which that's fine with me
That's
too,
okay.
I guess. I've always. Do you want a controversial opinion of mine?
Always.
In the animated show, I felt this before even watching the live action show. I felt this for a long time.
Wow.
I don't think that Aang and Katara work as well together as Katara and Zuko.
I totally agree.
Do you really?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Because I mean, you know, the like teenage girl in me, right? Yeah. But that was part of what I loved, though, was that Zuko was obviously the better fit for Katara, right?
That's so funny. I've thought about that like when on a recent watch through of that, I was like, yeah, that would Katara and Zuko would work so much better.
So much better. Maybe that's a change they could make. Maybe
it is.
We might be onto something.
We might be. I'd be okay with that. I'd be okay with that.
Satisfy us, Netflix. Satisfy us.